Picture this, a town where support isn't just a hand on your shoulder, it's a wheel turning with promise. I am Frederick, and I invite you to join me on a journey through the intricacies of the victim support system and my quest to comprehend it amid its complexities. It wasn't easy, until I discovered the dedicated team at Victim Support. Navigating this intricate maze became possible with their guidance. Crafted with care, designed with dreams, and wrapped in layers of policy speak thicker than grandma's quilts. But wait, there's more. This wheel has played a significant role in victim support strategies, dazzled at policy pageants, and even landed a leading role in the revamped Victims' Rights Directive proposal of 2023. As the team at Victim Support spins this wheel of change, they are not just offering a new way of thinking about victim support, they are crafting a legacy, one segment at a time. It all started with a hate crime, a moment that shook the foundations of my world. The way I saw myself and the world around me completely changed. I had been wrong. The world is not a safe place. I found myself standing alone, frightened, angry, confused, lost in a sea of uncertainty, wondering where to turn. I went to the police, hoping to find solace in the arms of justice. Instead, I was met with indifference, a door slammed shut on the very support I desperately needed. I felt worse than before, and I started to wonder if I should just give up, if there was no help to be found for me. Bureaucracy became my new adversary. The system was complex, and I was drowning in a sea of paperwork and legal jargon. I felt abandoned, like a victim twice over. That's when I stumbled upon Victim Support Europe, a lifeline in the tumultuous sea I found myself in.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed lawmakers, thank you for taking the time to hear about this transformative approach to victim support. I know we're used to discussing heavy matters, so let's approach this with a fresh perspective, shall we? Now, before we dive in, allow me to introduce Frida, a dedicated victim support worker from one of our member organizations, Victim Support Sweden. Frida, would you like to say a few words about your work?
Thank you, Alexandra. It is truly an honor to stand here representing the national frontline perspective. In my day-to-day work, I have the privilege of witnessing the immediate impact of victim support on individuals. The stories I hear and the lives we touch underscore the vital need for comprehensive and well-coordinated assistance. Together, we're not merely shaping policies, we're crafting a safety net for those who need it the most.
Now, I want you to imagine a wheel. Not just any wheel, but a wheel that's about to spin our perspective on victim support in a whole new direction.
Allow me to introduce you to the National Framework for Comprehensive Victim Support. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for helping those in need, a toolkit designed to neatly address all the challenges victims face. Just as we place our trust in healthcare and law enforcement, this support is an investment that not only mitigates the impact of crime, but also fortifies the resilience of our society. Our mission aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16, which is all about fostering peaceful and inclusive societies, ensuring access to justice for all, and establishing effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions. But let's pause for a moment and consider this. When was the last time you heard someone talk about victim support in the same way that we discuss healthcare? Our mission is to turn that around. Victim support isn't a niche concern. It's a vital thread woven into the fabric of our society. In the same way that SDG 3 emphasizes ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages, our approach aims to create a society that's strong, supportive, and resilient.
Now, quick quiz. How many of you can name the National Support Service in your country? Anyone?
See, that's exactly what we're trying to tackle. Now picture this wheel as a roadmap that invites all Europeans to rethink how we approach victim support.
Coordination is key, my friends. Just like a symphony, each entity plays its part harmoniously, from family and friends to justice systems and even the private sector. We're talking a well-tuned orchestra of support.
Our united efforts mirror the principles of SDG 8, promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth. You see, when life throws you a curveball, we naturally look to our support network. That's where our family and friends step in, the unsung heroes who provide the solid ground for victims to stand on. It's all about nurturing a sense of community, aligning perfectly with the goal of SDG 10, which underline the importance of reducing inequality both within and among countries. But you know what? Not all victims have that kind of support network. That's where victim support services come into play. Just as we rely on healthcare professionals to mend physical wounds, we also need experts to help heal emotional ones, don't we? Our work echoes the aspirations of SDG 16, which aim to create peaceful and inclusive societies, ensure access to justice for everyone, and establish effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions.
But hang on, why is it that some countries have national support services akin to the Netherlands or France, while others struggle to provide adequate help?
Our vision calls for consistency and equality, reflecting the essence of SDG 3, ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages. We're proposing a solution, a coordinated, long-term strategy guided by responsible decision makers and cooperation committees. After all, we can all agree that support should be within reach for every victim, regardless of their location.
And what about justice? How about we transform our courts from sources of trauma into platforms of dignity? Let's embrace empathy and create a space where victims are not just heard but truly understood and respected.
I agree. A trial can be the start of healing and closure for victims, or it can be a source of new trauma and secondary victimization. We are all responsible for improving the manner in which victims are seen and treated. Our commitment aligns with SDG 16, fostering peaceful and inclusive societies, providing access to justice for all, and building effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions. And don't forget the private sector. We can harness its innovations and vast resources for positive change. From employee volunteers to companies sponsoring shelters, this goes beyond social responsibility. It's about collectively building a safer, more compassionate society.
So, my esteemed lawmakers, don't just see this wheel as a diagram, see it as a vision where support is interconnected, victims are empowered, and society thrives. Let's make our policies into agents of meaningful change. Are you on board? Let's shift gears, adopt the wheel, and drive towards a fairer, safer, and more resilient Europe. Because together we can change lives and rewrite the narrative of victim support. Before we conclude, I invite you all to share your thoughts and questions. Let's make this a conversation that propels us toward a more supportive and inclusive future.
Alexandra, this wheel seems intriguing, but isn't victim support the responsibility of law enforcement and the justice system?
Excellent question. You're right that justice plays a significant role, but consider this analogy. When you build a house, you don't just focus on the walls, do you? You need a strong foundation, a roof to protect, and everything in between. Victim support is like constructing a safe and resilient society. We need all these sectors working together for lasting change.
But can't we leave victim support to NGOs and charitable organizations? Why should governments get so deeply involved?
NGOs and charities are the heart and soul of support, no doubt. But ensuring that victims receive the help they need in the aftermath of crime requires strong cooperations between all sectors. Governments need to set the tone, create frameworks and conditions for the establishment of victim support services to ensure that every citizen, regardless of where they live, has access to consistent and high quality support. Just as governments invest in healthcare for everyone's well-being, they should invest in victim support for everyone's safety and recovery.
Alexandra, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but isn't this wheel a bit too ambitious? How do we ensure all these sectors coordinate seamlessly?
Great question. It's true, this wheel might seem ambitious, but so was building of the European Union, right? We have frameworks, committees, and cooperation mechanisms in place for various matters. Victim support should be no different. By having a clear goal, bringing together representatives from each sector, setting standards, and encouraging communication, we can make sure that victims receive the holistic care they deserve. It's about aligning our goals for a better Europe.
You talked about systems and strategies, but what about victims? How does this wheel make sure victims are heard and helped?
Thank you for that question. It's essential to remember that this wheel isn't just about policies. It's about ensuring that every victim is seen and supported. Victims are individuals with different needs and preferences. In order to help each victim in a manner most suitable to them, this means tailoring support to individual needs and making sure that victims have a voice and are able to shape their own recovery throughout the process.
Exactly, Frida. Our policies are designed to empower victims and ensure their voices are heard in every step of the journey. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about recognizing the unique needs of each individual.
Frida, you talk about involving friends and family, but can they really provide effective support in such traumatic situations?
An important concern. Trauma can be incredibly overwhelming. And yes, friends and family might not be experts. However, think of them as the first responders. Their presence alone can provide immense comfort. It's not about turning them into counsellors, but about empowering them with the right information and tools to provide the initial support victims need. Just as we learn first aid to help in emergencies, we can learn how to provide emotional first aid to those we care about. If I may, individual resilience is a crucial aspect. Let me tell you a short story that illustrates the power of a strong support network and individual resilience. This is the story of Charlotte Dixon Sutcliffe, whose partner David was the only Briton murdered in the Brussels attack. A devastating loss that shook her world. During that challenging time, it was when her family and friends decided to step in and offer their unwavering support. They gathered around her, determined to help her navigate the profound loss and find the strength to stand tall once more. Her journey is a testament to the remarkable human capacity for post-traumatic growth.
Alexandra, your vision is compelling, but isn't this just another layer of bureaucracy? Are we adding complexity without actual results?
I understand your concern about bureaucracy, but think of it this way. Victim support isn't a separate layer. It's actually the glue that binds our society together. We're not adding complexity. We're actually streamlining and coordinating efforts for a more effective outcome. We've seen how fragmented support can lead to gaps in care, and that's what we're addressing with this framework. It's about making every effort count and ensuring that victims get the help they need when they need it. Through the Victim Support Europe network, for example, we have also created cooperation between support services themselves so that victims are able to get the support they need where they live without any bureaucratic restraints. I would therefore say that our vision removes bureaucracy and focuses our joint effort directly on the victims who need our help. Now, thank you all for these insightful questions. Our journey towards comprehensive victim support might seem challenging, but remember, every significant change in history started with a simple idea. Let's embrace this vision and pave the way for a Europe where every victim finds the support they deserve.
In this room filled with policymakers, lawmakers, and dedicated professionals, a collective commitment to change echoes through the applause. Each clap resonates with the promise of a more compassionate, supportive, and inclusive Europe.